Welcome back to the Technology of Beauty, where I have the opportunity to interview the movers and shakers of the beauty business. And today is no exception, except that we're here in beautiful Austin, Texas, here in the Convention Center, home of the Aesthetic Meet. And with us today is the president of the Aesthetic Society, Kia Mogasagi.
Thank you, Grant, for having me for another episode.
Yes, it's so great to have you back on the show. Kia's president for the next few days. And then our new president, who will be on the show, is going to be next. In any event, what a wonderful year you've had. You've been in how many cities?
I've been traveled to 48 cities.
That's remarkable. You've done a great job. What are your thoughts about the last year? I know I've lived through it. It was a whirlwind. You had the president-elect year and then the president year. What are your thoughts?
You know, I gave a talk to the board yesterday to kind of review the year with them. And the year didn't start when I took the office in May. It actually started when I was the president-elect and we had this strategic planning in your hometown of Sun Valley.
Yes.
And at that point, we looked at ourselves in the mirror and recognized in a data-driven fashion what are the things that the society needs to do better and how do we need to adapt to the new environment. That was our challenge. But then we saw also an opportunity in that if we adapt to this new market, we can regain our leadership. There was a time when the Aesthetic Society, or back then we were called the ASAPs, we were the king of the world. But we recognized that was no longer the case. And in order to maintain our premier status in the aesthetic market, we had to adapt. And how we adapt. And we figured out that the best way to do it is become more inclusive and bring other players in the market under our umbrella called the Aesthetic Society. So we're not just aesthetic surgeon anymore. We are the Aesthetic Society encompassing the entire aesthetic market. So that was the challenge and that was the opportunity that we captured. And then we decided, okay, how do we get there? So to do so, I called the year that I had this year the year of reimagination. We had to reimagine all the elements of our society. Internally, we had to reimagine how we do our governance. And externally, we had to reimagine how we do our membership, our education, and our relationship with industry. On the governance front, we hired an outside agency, expert in the field, to help us with modernizing our governance because we had to convert from a mom and pop society that we used to be to a more professional corporation and run like so. So we had a new CEO. We never had a CEO before in Mark Tice. He's been a wonderful addition to our team. So he came along, then we had this agency, helped us to modernize our governance, which therefore empowers members more and make it more merit-based society and therefore bring a better talent more to the fold. Externally, we had to reevaluate our membership. We had to make the membership exciting again. And how do we do that? First of all, you have to bring that value proposition back. You know, the value proposition is multifactorial. Why should I become a member of the society? Well, we had to bring that message back and communicate that with our members. We had to create new levels of membership because it's no longer us, the only player. We decided that the formula would be a pyramid, where we're at the top of the pyramid, and then we have other folks who are in the aesthetic market kind of in that pyramid. So we're at the top, and then we created at the base of this pyramid what we call the Ally Pro. These are all the professionals, allied professionals who are part of the delivery of the aesthetic care. From your front office to your back office, your esthetician, your nurse injectors, they can all be part of that. And that's the biggest part of the aesthetic market that's growing. So we bring them to the fold. And then also we receive interest from other colleagues in the core specialty, the facial plastics, dermatology, and oculoplastics. They wanted to be part of this process. So we created an affiliate category of membership. We just have approved it as the board. And they're going to be the next level. So we are becoming a pyramid, umbrella kind of a society, run like a professional corporation. And we are going to be more inclusive because together we are stronger. You always use the analogy, a rising tide. We all go up together, we all go down together. So if we can improve patient safety and patients' outcomes, we're all going to go up together. So that's our kind of been our vision this year, and that's what we've done.
That's fantastic. I am so happy with the changes. You know, the inclusivity started when we started getting the core first, and there was big pushback in those early days, just getting the concept of the core. I want to compliment you for all the hard work you've done, and the board, and the president-elect, Dr. Pfeiffer, and yourself, and Mark has been so instrumental. As a proud member of the Aesthetic Society for many years, I applaud all the work you've done and the changes.
Well, thank you. None of these things happen in silo. It's not like a one-man show.
No,
I
it's
had
all volunteers.
It's all volunteer. I had this sort of the vision, but we look at ourselves and going forward, this is how it's going to be data-driven, so that we're not going to make a decision without data. And if the data tells us something, then we have to believe in data. And then be honest with ourselves and be transparent. I think if we bring transparency and accountability to our society, and again, like any other corporation, we'll be very successful. And we already seen that our membership has taken off. We have the highest number of membership, double-digit growth in all categories, including the active membership. First time ever our active members grew in 1 year, while our retiring is growing, but active members grew a lot.
Fantastic.
And you were instrumental by, being more inclusive. I remember when you, as a president, lowered the barriers for younger generation to join the society, and that's been instrumental. So, as you can see, we are kind of building on each other's success and advancing the society into the future.
It makes me very happy. I'm very proud to be a member.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. I look forward to seeing you throughout the meeting. Take care. And go Ducks.
Go Ducks.
We're both loyal Ducks. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Technology of Beauty, where I have the opportunity to interview the movers and shakers of the beauty business. And today is no exception, except that we're in beautiful Austin, Texas, in the Convention Center, where the annual aesthetic meet is being held this week. Yesterday we had AIS Aesthetic Innovation Summit, which was well attended, and today starts our annual meeting. And with us today is our president-elect, soon to be the president, Dr. Tracy Pfeiffer, my dear friend and our president. Thank you for joining us. We caught her between meetings. She's running around from here and there. Everywhere. Hot topics coming up. You have a meeting with Allergan, I hear.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing your time with us.
Oh, Grant,
it
thank
means
you
the
for
world
having
to me.
No, this means the world to me. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here with you today.
That's so wonderful. So you must be excited. I know you've been working really hard this year. I remember when I was president-elect, it was a tough year. I had Clyde as my president.
Yes.
And I know you've been very busy.
Well, and you were a mover and a shaker yourself at that time.
Well,
because that's how we got to know each other.
That's
was
right.
through the rebranding.
That's right. We
task
worked together,
force.
and the rebranding task force.
Which was your initiative
Thank
to
you.
really
Yes. We changed the
modernize
colors,
what we
we
doing.
changed the logo,
Yes.
we changed the website. Yeah, it was a heavy lift.
Yeah.
And without you, we wouldn't have been able to get it done.
Yeah, it was a big project, but it was really, really important because the society has such a distinguished history, but we were catering to surgeons who were kind of in the know. And the whole idea was to speak to the public.
Yes.
So that the public knows who are the surgeons that are associated with the Aesthetic Society and why consumers as patients should look for surgeons. They should look for us because we are
were
the
so
qualified
insular.
people. Yes.
Yeah.
So within the plastic surgery community, we all wanted to be part of the Aesthetic Society because it's very prestigious. It's not easy to get into it. Now we're more open.
Yes.
But it's still a very, very prestigious society, and we all recognize it amongst ourselves that this is the place to be. But we want to be able to message to the public.
Yes.
Look for an Aesthetic Society member when you are thinking of selecting
Because
your
after
surgeon.
all, our number one mantra, our number one goal is patient safety.
Patient safety.
Patient safety is the number one goal.
Yes.
And after that, everything follows, right? And now,
Everything.
thanks to you and Kia and the board and Mark, we now have this parameter system, and we're being inclusive of the other core specialties.
Yes.
And then the other support and the staff and so forth. It's wonderful, and the public is seeing us, and double-digit growth.
Yes,
and,
we've had a lot of growth, and that's going to be one of the things that we're really working on this year is messaging to the public so that our brand is known throughout, hopefully, the world eventually, but we'll start with the United States, that you want to look for an Aesthetic Society member
I
when
love
you're
it.
choosing your provider.
You're giving me goosebumps. I love the society. You know that.
Yes,
I live and breathe the Aesthetic
I know,
Society.
yes.
And you remember how I couldn't stand the word ASAPs? And during my presidency, I said, we're stopping that silly word.
Yes.
It sounds as soon as possible to me.
it's a hard, and we know it, but we want to keep it simple so that
Yes.
people can hear our message and immediately identify who we are. It's like years ago, and maybe I'm dating myself, but there was the Good Housekeeping seal of approval, right?
There you go.
We want people to know the Aesthetic Society as the place to go if you want, whether it's surgery or other aesthetic treatments. This is the place to go. Look for these people. And the patients can sort of rest assured that we're well trained, we're ethical, we are artists, we're experts in what we do, and you're going to have the best results if you go to one of our members. So that's what it's all about.
1,000%. I couldn't agree with you more. And I'm right there behind you, helping you wherever I can.
we love
What's
it.
on your agenda for this year as the president?
Well, that's really one of my big initiatives
Okay.
is really to speak to the public so that they have more recognition of us. And we need to do that through all our channels, especially we want to beef up social media because this is how the young people are getting information and we want to speak to those people. We don't want to be a secret that only a few people know about.
Yes.
So that's one of the really big initiatives. And then from the educational side, which is near and dear to our hearts, we really want to think about the young surgeons that are joining our society and what their needs are, how they want to learn, what type of format, what are their needs so that we can help the young members stand up their practices. And I think the younger people really want to have a work-life balance that wasn't necessarily true, 20, 30 years ago. So we have to recognize that things are evolving. And I always say, I don't like to say the word change because it sounds like something was wrong. But it's like a thoughtful evolution. Like these are the young people, these are the needs that they have, these are their priorities, and how can we still provide education to them in today's environment?
1,000%.
And that's what it's all about.
I think a guy named Darwin had a little bit to say about that.
Yes.
And this society was bound to be extinct.
Yes.
And we had more people leaving every year than coming every year.
Yeah,
We
and
were
that
on
was
a-
one of your big initiatives,
That's
which
right.
really turned everything around. Was number one, Dr. Stevens really supported women ascending into leadership in the society, and that was no mean feat. I mean, our first woman
Every
president.
chairperson, I appointed women in every single chair position I could,
Yeah.
and tried to put them all on the board and get them into the presidency. And now you're our third woman president, right?
But that's
and
how
I'm so proud
visionaries.
of
That's
you.
how visionaries think. Because if you look at, when I joined, I think we had 10% women, and then it was 13%.
Yep.
But if you look at medical schools now, it's 50-50
50-50,
women.
yeah.
And most of our older members who are going to age out are men. So there's
Yes.
going to be a greater and greater percentage of women in the Aesthetic Society.
And who are our patients? 85 to 90% of them are women.
Women.
It made no sense to me.
Yeah.
How can we be a bunch of old stodgy men and our patients are 85, 90% women?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It made no sense. But in any event, it's so great to have you as our president.
Thank you for having me. We really appreciate it, and
Yeah,
we're so
I'm-
thankful to you for everything that
Well,
you've done.
I'm looking
over
forward
the
to your
decades.
year, and I'm there to help you at any time you need. I'll carry your bags, Madam
Oh,
President.
well, they do get heavy. No. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing you at the meeting.
Wonderful.
Okay, you take care. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Technology of Beauty, where I have the opportunity to interview the movers and shakers of the beauty business. And today is no exception. With the exception that today we're in beautiful Austin, Texas. We're actually in the convention center, home of the Aesthetic Society annual meeting called MEET, M-E-E-T. And I'm here with our CEO, Mark Tice. And first of all, thank you for making
Thank you.
time in
Thank
your
you.
schedule.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah,
it. Thank you for
I know
having me
how
here.
busy you are.
No,
and
it's
I
great to be
appreciate
here.
it
Thank you so
greatly.
much, Dr. Stevens.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you, Mark. And thank you for allowing us this opportunity in this space. We greatly appreciate it. So having said that, we've had the opportunity to interview our president and our incoming president, and you've all heard their interviews. And now, Mark, you are our CEO, and we didn't have a CEO forever. And you're running this as a business, data-driven, and with all your experience. Can you first of all share with our listeners and the viewers, where are you from?
So, well, right now I live in Chicago.
Right.
But
where'd you
my
grow up?
background, I grew up in Minneapolis. So I'm
Okay.
a Midwest guy. Lived in the Bay Area. Went to college there.
What college?
small Jesuit school, University of
Okay.
San Francisco.
No wonder
Yeah.
you're so smart. Okay, so you're
Then-
Jesuit educated.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
And
I
then
love
Benedictine
that.
before that. So
Oh
yeah,
wow, I
let's see
love
how
it.
that comes back
And you
to
came
bite
from
me.
Minneapolis.
Correct.
That's where Aaron's from.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Small world.
I knew I
Okay.
loved you, Midwesterners.
Okay. Yes.
My mother's from Racine, Wisconsin, so
Oh,
I've got my
okay.
grandmother. I mean, so
Okay.
I've got a little Midwestern
Okay.
blood in me
Okay.
too.
And you probably like cheese curds.
Yes, I love cheese curds. Okay, so then you're educated there in Jesuit, and then
moved to New York and
Okay.
worked there, New York City, for about 5+ years. Then back to California for another 5, and then now I've been in Chicago almost 20 years.
I love it.
And my background really was primarily in the hospitality and tourism industry. I spent early in my career, I spent working for large convention and visitors bureaus, which are destination marketing organizations for both Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Chicago.
Okay.
And then I was picked up to work for Starwood Hotels when Barry Sternlicht was building all of his brands, so at its infancy, developing the W brand, Le Meridien, and worked there for about 8 years, really emerging as the thought leaders before lifestyle hotels became popular. Then, as many may recall, Marriott Hotels acquired Starwood. I did a year of post-merger integration work with them to help that transition go smoothly. But it was a good time for me, knowing that I like to go in and fix things, be a little more entrepreneurial. And while Marriott's a great company, it wasn't necessarily going to kind of give me that space and what I thrive in. So I then was recruited to go then work for for Hyatt Hotels, and replicate a lot of that as it relates to mergers and acquisitions as they were growing their portfolio, as well as developing more personalization and experiences with each of their guests. So when this opportunity came up about 2.5 years ago, it might have seemed a little strange for somebody with my background, but the more I leaned in and learned more about the opportunity, it became apparent that this was a perfect time for the Aesthetic Society as they were developing a larger presence and being a critical piece in this exploding market. So my first 2 years, we've really leaned into not only developing our brands, but hopefully you're starting to see it now, not just on the B2B side, but also the B2C side, our kind of brand visibility. So it's been a quick blip already of 2 years, but I'm really excited, and I feel like we've accomplished a great deal, and I'm continuing to
You truly have.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
you've brought professionalism and business principles and so many wonderful professional principles to the society.
Oh, well, I appreciate that.
And we are growing at an unbelievable, unheralded rates, and thanks to you and the leadership and the board. And we're so excited about this meeting. Did you come up with the name Meet?
Well, I mean, it was a collective concept. I think, when I came on board, like I said, a little more than 1.5 years ago, we really wanted to re-examine everything, right? Not just the internal operations, how we could run more efficiently, but how do we position ourselves in a very kind of crowded market, right? And the word...
Like brand distinction?
Yeah,
How could-
brand distinction, but also like our unique value to
Okay.
our members, right? And how does that uniquely set us apart than, say, other societies or other entities of what a doctor would need in kind of obtaining their education? So let's face it, the word meeting in and itself has kind of a connotation like, oh my gosh, I'm going to a meeting or a
Another
conference.
meeting.
Exactly.
Usually the word another is in front of it.
Exactly. When the word meet is really, there's so much more positive, connotations with the word meet, M-E-E-T.
Right.
Right? So it was a simple, abbreviation, to kind of share the ethos underneath it, right? That we're meeting each other, we're collaborating together, we're actually getting networking and having fun. So that was really the beginning of it, right? And then we used this past year to reimagine, our education content, the different deliverables and mediums that we're going to provide this expertise knowledge. With your great help, we've been able to sell out our exhibit floor with over 230
wonderful.
booths. Right, with not just our existing, many of our, legacy exhibitors, but also a significant amount of new industry partners that are continuing to see value in our attendees. So this is just the beginning. right?
Yes.
We're going to be in Boston, and then we're in Miami, and then we're in New York. We've got a great lineup of destinations going forward. So
Those are the next 3 meetings: Boston, Miami, New York. That's what you're referring to.
There you go. Yeah, it'll be great. I mean, you alluded.
I'm sorry, meets, not meetings.
They can
Sorry.
still be used interchangeably.
Okay,
No one's
sorry.
going to cast judgment. But yeah, it just seemed appropriate. We're also continuing to ensure that our brand isn't just familiar with those in this space, but also the consumer, right?
That's what Dr. Pfeiffer was talking about.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the value proposition and expanding to the consumer, because we used to be so insular and just the physicians, we were just physician-based, but yet our goal is physician education to ensure patient safety.
Yeah,
And if
yeah.
our bottom line is patient safety, the safest, the most effective, the best aesthetic services, including surgery and non-surgical, we have to be looking at the public. And the public needs to know who we are. And you've done a fine job, as have the board and the other leadership.
Oh, well, thanks. Listen, it's a big nut to crack yet, right? I mean, in the consumer's eyes, they don't know a facial plastic versus an aesthetic plastic versus an oculoplastic, right? So yet we know there's a lot of expertise, knowledge across those disciplines. How do we cross-pollinate? How do we continue to ensure that we're aligned on driving the best outcomes and patient safety, and then with that, driving education to the consumer on who's best suited for what they're seeking.
Right.
Right? Because right now it's very confusing to them. And then you look at the non-surgical, it's even more fragmented. And that's
Indeed.
why, as I'm sure both Dr. Movasage and Dr. Pfeiffer shared, we've recently created the Allied Pro category of membership within the society.
Which is absolutely fantastic.
We're excited about that.
Yeah, we should be.
That's really a great opportunity for us to lean into this audience that has, as I said, a little wild, wild west across state by state with their different, regulations, and probably feeling a bit absent for a community or home, and we can fill that void, and we can also hopefully provide them education that ultimately provides greater credibility to the consumer.
I agree. Well, I know you have to go, and I know it's a busy week for you. I sure hope our paths cross. We'll be at some of the meetings
really appreciate
together,
it.
and
Yeah.
Kia's party,
Yeah, it
and
should be a great-
Tracy's
great few
party.
days. I'm excited.
It's going to be the best, the
Yeah.
very best, and I'm so delighted to have you at the helm as our CEO.
Well, thank you so
Very
much.
proud.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks.
my pleasure. Take care.